Welcome to it, sports fans, the MKT show. I am MKT, Gareth Cliff. This is my show, and we have an awesome guest tonight. Somebody who I knew way back in the day, but my God, he's grown and become a different man, a different man. Haven't heard about him in a while, and then you look up in 2012, 2013. This guy's just killing everybody on the triathlon scene. Champ, I mean, world-class, thoroughbred, absolute thoroughbred. Cannot wait to chat to our guest tonight. Really, really looking forward to that. Ah, man, guy from Maritzburg, another stud from Maritzburg. Trautman, the Matt version. There's Kelvin, and some might say we'll leave it to him. See who's the better version. Both phenomenal athletes. And we got Matt Trautman. Anyway, let's get to it. Thanks for joining us. Today was wild, by the way. Johannesburg, like 400 degrees. And I was speaking to somebody in Cape Town again, saying it's slightly chilly down there. But the other thing that I'd forgotten about Cape Town is that humidity down there. No, thank you. Johannesburg, what you might call 100 degrees if you're in America, 35 degrees, give or take today. Spot on. No wind, no humidity. All good. Really, really nice. So a great time to be alive. The pandemic, according to our president, is, relatively speaking, under control. So feeling good about that. Welcome to it. Let's get into it. It is the MKT show. I am MKT. Let's talk fantasy football because, we could have done it yesterday, but there was so much to get through. Shambolic week. This must be the worst week to be a fantasy football manager in the history of mankind. Well, there's my team. I mean, okay, Southampton, Danny Ings doing his thing. I think he's going to get 20 again. Let's keep those injuries away. Digne, great job, I think, with the assist. But Everton just keep conceding, which is strange. But they're real. Listen, I said top four. They are real. Luca Dean, terrific. Just terrific left foot. He's gonna take free kicks and penalties. He's quite terrific. Vinagre, listen, Wolverhampton are second season syndrome. They got problems. Reece James, I mean, the most ridiculous game you've ever seen against West Brom. He needs a centre forward. He puts the crosses in, but where's the centre forward? Taylor, I thought Burnley, they're a decent side. They've got Chris Wood fit again. I think Taylor's got a good left foot and he gets up there. So, was hoping for some points there, but it is what it is. James Rodriguez, he did, those second to last passes, but you can expect points from James. You can see his quality. It looks like he will take set pieces. They're going to be Everton are going to be a handful. I don't care who you are. I think they're going to be top four. Aubameyang, they played Liverpool, and I still don't get it. Last night was a good example, right? And we'll chat about it in a bit. Why I still think he should play up front. I know people like Lacazette, but for me, I'd stick Aubameyang up front because some of those chances, he would have stuck it away. Callum Hudson-Odoi, I thought he did well off the bench. And it's, for Chelsea, they need that winger option, and he gives you something a little different. Of course, with that goal to rescue Chelsea 3-all in the end. Sadio Mane, he's who he is now. He is who he is. So points there. Didn't disappoint. Probably should have captained him. I captained Werner because I thought, Chelsea are playing West Brom. Frank Lampard is actually a decent manager. Well, that was a lie. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Hey, listen, if you're an England fan, by the way, you got to be honest now, right? You got to be honest and you got to say, is this our guy? Because he's challenging Harry Kane. He has another season. If he scores 18 to 20 goals a season, as an England fan, you got to go, does this guy maybe give us something extra? Because one thing, Harry Kane, I don't care for all his finishing, he doesn't give you the pace of the last man's shoulder. And Calvert-Lewin is a beast in the air. Kane is not a beast in the air. Now, he's good in the air, he's serviceable in the air, but he's probably a better fox in the box, which is what Harry is. Calvert-Lewin, it looks like he gives you everything. Because aerially, my goodness, and his leap and his hold-up play, terrific. So, disappointing week. What does this mean for the overall? I mean, obviously I'm going to win. By the way, there is a winner. And whoever wins, there are prizes. There is a prize for the winner. Let's look at what everybody did up top there. The leaderboard hasn't really changed up top where it matters. For the rest of us, who cares who you are? Big moves there by Genie Mini Mani Mo, which is the Brett van Black. Great name there. Superb name. Genie, Meanie, Mane, Mo. That's a Liverpool fan with probably the best name of the group. I mean, obviously, I've got Shaga Zulu, which you can't outdo perfection, but Genie, Meanie, Mine, Mo will do. Big moves there. Brett van Black looking to climb to the top of the table, 66. He wins. I think he won probably the whole round. So good on Brett van Black this week. Big moves. But Kelsey Shapiro, she maintains the lead at the top. But I'm in the mix. That's what it's about. Right now, they say you can't win the league early in the season, but you can certainly lose it. So I'm going to keep myself in the mix. If Kelsey Shapiro isn't careful over the next 10 weeks, I'm coming to saw her down. Saw her down there. Shaka Zulu. So yeah, that's week 3 done and dusted. The worst week. Salah did nothing. I imagine people captain Salah. Werner was supposed to score a hat-trick against West Brom. Son is injured now. Tottenham, no one feels like scoring goals consistently there. Son is injured now. That's huge for Tottenham. That is massive, massive news. Oh, man. By the way, the VAR situation, we'll talk VAR tomorrow because that's a whole different situation. All right, well, that's what that is. Before we get to our guest, let's talk about last night's game. People asked me, what do I think? And as we did the outro for the show yesterday, I was like, hey, you know what? I might as well, even though it's one team which is at probably their peak and a team that's just been a participant for 17 years. I thought, let me give my prediction. I said 4-1. And the reason I'm laughing is I was talking to our director, Dave, before the show. And he said, you got it completely wrong. It was actually 3-1. So that was hilarious. He says, I got it completely wrong. I am way off. I should just can this whole sports talk show thing. Way off. 3-1 Liverpool. Look, this one's easy. When the pressure's on, you get to see what people are. And Liverpool put Arsenal under all sorts of pressure yesterday. Because ultimately what Arsenal want to become is really prime Barcelona, prime Man City. Is they want you to come and press and they want to play through the press. But it comes with time. You have to develop it. And it's not always a skill thing. It's a confidence thing, right? The best players are able to let pressure come onto them and then find that passing lane. And often I know as fans, it's like, but that's part of the skill, right? Is you find the passing lane, you execute with the timing. And that takes time because what you need is other people to avail themselves in the correct passing lanes as well. But at that level, that takes a bit of time. Once people know, once people are confident, once the coaching is repetitive enough, I think you'll start to see that. But what you saw was Arsenal being what they are, is when the big moment came, as they've done, unfortunately, for 17 years, folk, we are who we are. They shrank, right? The big moments came, Lacazette. And this becomes a thing of, is he the guy, by the way? Is he the guy? Not a guy, is he the guy? And those are the moments that can turn a season because you know what happens is you get a point from that. You get maybe Lacazette finishes both chances yesterday. You say to yourself, if you get a win or unexpected point, that's 2 extra points. That's a top 4 place. So these are the types of games, and those are the types of moments. Right? We expect you to go and beat Fulham. But last night was crucial for Arsenal to show us who you really are. Now, Sadio Mane, could he have got a red for the arm up? Okay, fair enough. But Arsenal had their chances. I think if you're an Arsenal fan, you have to walk away and say, we had our chances to be, I think that was at 1-1, to go 2-1 up. Lacazette, I think he had 2 chances, actually. So there's that. There was an MKT chance, a half chance. But Arsenal reverted to what they are. Big moments come. They shrank. Liverpool, clinical, deadly. And if you're a Liverpool fan, you're happy. Because last night was Liverpool, second, third year? And they never really turned it into overdrive. And they exacerbated Arsenal's problems. I think you can see now on either side of the back three, there's problems. Because Mo Salah was all over Kieran Trippier. I don't know whether that's because Trippier wasn't fit and he's just coming back. And then on the right, you've got a problem because Sadio Mane was having, whether it was, who was on the right there of that defense? Rob Holding. It was our vegan friend, Eto Bellerin. No good. That's not going to work. Something needs to tighten up there. I thought El Neni was probably Arsenal's player of the game. He was strong. He was carrying the ball well. He passed the ball well from deep. But when you come up against a team that's razor sharp at their best, not enough. So it was a tale of two teams, really. One at the very beginning of their ascendance and one at Mount Everest. They are at the very top. They are at the summit of their powers right now. Do I expect that to last for the season? Different question. I don't, but last night they were clinical. See, that's a team that's been together. We're not playing, because actually, if you watch the game, Liverpool didn't play that well. The passing, the flowing movement, the diagonals from Robertson. You saw the defensive mistake from Robertson to give that goal away. And then those diagonals from Trent to Robertson, from Robertson to Trent, that wasn't really clicking. I mean, you saw one of two of those brilliant diagonals from Virgil van Dijk to whether it's to Salah or Mane. But it wasn't that full cut and thrust heavy metal. But they put it away. That's being champions. That's just getting it done. So last night, no shock to me. And as an Arsenal fan, love to know what they think. I'd be worried because same problems that we had under Wenger. They're still there. It's Aubameyang or bust. Same problems you had under Emre. Where's the defense? Because some of those, I mean, the 2 goals, unforgivable. The Jota goal's nice, but unforgivable. Rob Holding, I think that's a problem. David Luiz, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. But, and quite frankly, I don't think Granit Xhaka is going to cut it either, but I'm not an Arsenal fan. But I'm just telling you, is if you want to go from top 8, that Arsenal is now, and you want to break top 4, Xhaka is going to have to go, Holding's going to have to go, Luiz is going to have to go, and that's going to have to happen pronto. But no surprise, Liverpool, clinical, congrats. Clinical stuff. Talking of clinical, I tell you what, we'll take one question and then we will go through to our guest. Mark Francis makes an interesting point. He says, I think that Kane is not a 90-minute player. Rashford, Calvert-Lewin could be better options to challenge him. Please send a league code for EPL. All right. Hey, Mark, we can certainly do that. Don't you worry about that. And we're not going to send it. We're going to just, Dave, won't you be what they call a munchkin and do Mark Francis a solid? And while we look at this, can you defeat me? Probably not. You know, like I said, I'm not going to lose it early. I'm going to stay in the mix. If Kelsey Shapiro thinks this thing's over, she's got another thing coming. But join the MKT show FPL. The password is N1IHEH. MKT show FPL. The lowercase letters are N, the number 1, IHEH. Come and challenge me and the rest of Cliff Central Sport Nation to whether you can win. By the way, there will be a prize for the winner. I don't know what the prize is yet, but there will be a prize. And only for the winner. Nobody cares if you're second. And by nobody, I mean me. And quite frankly, it's my show. So ipso facto, nobody cares if you're second. I don't want to hear it. Oh, I was close. This is not Montessori, people. Take that nonsense to your girlfriend. Take that nonsense to your boyfriend. I don't want to hear your problems. Give me solutions. Give me solutions. Winners give you solutions. And talking of winners, ladies and gentlemen, coming up after the break, one of SA's finest of all time. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of having one of SA's finest, and he's hey, a Maritzburg guy. What you gonna do, Dave? Let's welcome this man in the correct way here, as we do on the MKT show. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing one of Maritzburg's finest, educated in the Midlands, perfected in the Cape. He is quite simply the better half of the Trautman child tree. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only. He goes coast to coast, wins Ironman for fun. The one and only Matt Trautman. Let's go. Let's go.
Good enjoy him, guy.
Matt, what's going on?
Last one. Yeah, not much, just been at home for a while.
Hey, listen, Matt, let's just get straight into this thing, right? I'm sick of it, being a Joburg guy my whole life and going to school in that Midlands area. I'm sick of you Sharks fans. I'm sick of you Maritzburg guys constantly being better than us from the Highveld. Listen, talk to me. What is the secret? What's in that water? Because if it's not you, it's Kevin Peterson. If it's not Peterson, I mean, it's that lunatic Greg Minnow. What is it in the water down there?
Just, I mean, there's quite a lot in the water there if you're going down to Camp Drift. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd put it down to the water, but maybe what you do on the water. The culture of the paddling there and the comrades and the mid-mile, and I mean, it's such a sporting mad ton, really. That I think that rubs off on the youth there, and definitely influences people. Definitely influenced me, that's for sure.
Hey, good point there. That's something that Maritzburg never gets talked about. All we ever say about them is, when are you guys getting Wi-Fi? But actually, the truth is, because guys aren't on TikTok, guys are focused. But
exactly. I mean, what else is there to do there? You got to, sculpt yourself into excellence. You can't be sitting on the couch scrolling through Twitter.
These are the secrets.
Gifts, sir.
I hear you are you a big Anchorman fan?
No, I just saw my bio. I mean, Matt Trautman, Anchorman, GIF extraordinaire, and spent some time on the Atlantic. I like it.
I mean, we got our director and producer. He is what he is. Listen, man, hey, what's with the flat? I don't think I've ever seen you without a flat peak. Or is that just is it part of the brand? Yeah. Did you make that call earlier, huh?
Is that clear enough?
That's clear. That'll work.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to, we might as well start there is, whenever I talk to athletes, I'm fortunate enough to work in the space, obviously. Red Bull seems to be the brand you want to get involved with. How did that come about? We can always, everybody knows that you're obviously an absolute animal and a tearaway. Did they approach you, or is it a matter of you proposing to them? Because obviously that's where everyone wants to be, no matter what sport you're in.
Yeah, I think it's a case of the Maritzburg boys sticking together. Doug Bird, who used to be at Red Bull, he got me involved. He was a Maritzburg boy. His brother Steve Bird actually went to the Olympics for paddling, but for Australia, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, but no, the connection was through Doug. But I definitely approached them, and it's like you say, such a great company that everyone wants to be involved with. So a process of getting in there, and I had to obviously prove myself with results, and grateful to still be with him.
Let me tell you, you haven't done badly. Let's be very clear. We'll get into what's happened. So, Matt, when we get into this endurance space, and you kind of touched on it, the culture down there, of course, and it must be interesting for a guy like you who really does go globally, coast to coast. But for me, when I travel, the one thing I realize as South Africans is we are a little bit nutty in the head, because when we go to America and go to Europe, I'd like to hear what your experience is. But whenever I go there and I hear how Americans and Europeans talk about the marathon distance, I'm like, oh, okay, were you training for something? Because to me, I'm like, oh, are you doing comrades? You know what I mean? To me, as a South African, it's so natural for us to talk about 90 Ks every year, up run, down run. To us, it's not shocking. You talk to the Americans about a marathon, it's like a man has given birth, or some sort of natural miracle like that has occurred, So for you, what's it like when you go global?
No, you're right. It's it definitely has become like just normalized here in South Africa to do these crazy ultra endurance events. Like I think, because I mean, Comrades has been around forever. I mean, I think it's one of the oldest ultra distance marathons. I think it is the oldest one. So like we've always just had that around, and I mean, it's not just the running, there's the paddling and the swimming, and I mean, yeah, you can name it, and the South Africans are keen to do it. You know, Cape Epic, obviously. So yeah, I think people just, yeah, like you say, if it's not 90 Ks, then why bother getting out of bed?
Oh man, that's awesome. So for you, was it just because of mates or whatever that you kind of got involved in sport, or was it, where did it come from? Is it parents, family? Is there some pedigree that side? Because I know your brother's also an absolute stud of an athlete. Is it a family trait or?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say from our parents initially. Yeah, they were both into their paddling and their running, and my dad actually played hockey for Zimbabwe when they were there. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he was a really good sportsman, and I mean, we were always just playing sports as children, and just anything we could do, whether it was all the usual cricket, rugby, hockey, and then athletics, cross country, swimming. My mother would drive us to Durban every weekend for nippers, life savings. So I think, it was destined to be involved with sports in some aspect.
Hey, two things. By the way, life saving does not get enough credit. That is one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life, ever. That is like a good starting ground, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially for triathlon, I wish a bit longer. But yeah, difficult at a border in the Midlands to to do that. So that's when that ended. But
yeah, no, that's none of that.
Yeah, Camp Strift was a bit closer, so I swapped the life saving for paddling.
Fair dinkum. Listen, and then so when you were younger, what was how many of you at home? Because I just know you and your brother, but when you were the competition, or what was that like? Is he a competitive dude, or were you guys at each other's throats?
Yeah, I actually got a younger brother as well. He's 5 years younger, but I think he's probably the most talented out of all of us. Yeah,
no pressure.
Yeah, no, he's sports scholarship he actually went to my class. Got the sports scholarship there.
All right, cut this call. We're done. All right, that's has he been kicked out of home? You guys have cut him off. I don't want to hear him getting an inheritance of any sort.
Yeah, no, he's off the family WhatsApp group. He's
right,
in the Caymans. Yeah. No one, we don't really hear from him.
Wonderful.
No, always, very competitive. And yeah, you know how it is with brothers. It's not always pretty. It was just very. All of us were just super competitive. You had to win whatever it was, board games or the lawn cricket. We're friends now, though.
Iron sharpens iron. Listen, iron sharpens iron. I don't want to hear excuses to get to the top. It's an ugly road. It is not a road paved in gold. So I love it. I love it. So you're saying the youngest one, huh? I mean, I know this is supposed to be your interview, and you're kind of a world-class guy. So the youngest one, is he on the way as triathlete as well, huh?
Funny enough, he's actually just got into triathlon, but no, he was more traditional with his cricket and hockey, and he's a very good golfer as well. But he's started triathlon. He actually did an Ironman. I think it was in Florida last year, and he did great. I think he won his age group, or he was right up there. So.
I mean, what you gonna do? Yeah, no, listen, this is just here's my thing, right? So, Matt, let's sort this out right now, because I've done it with a few guys at your level. Your brother's married, huh? Calvin's married?
Yeah.
You're married?
Yeah. Jason,
The young,
not yet. No.
not yet. Okay, because what I've always said was when we have these studs from SA, like you guys, is you thoroughbreds, the results are in, the horses bolted, is we need to actually start vetting who you guys marry. And we need to manage it early because we've seen with you and your brother what you're capable of. I need the Olympic gold medalists to be produced in the future. Now, I know people are always on about, oh, it's about love and all of that nonsense. I say, no, it's about gold medals. So the younger brother, you two are lost. And I know probably your wives are great with all due respect, but I don't know their sporting pedigree. But the young one, we will not miss out on because we need the next Trautman coming out of the stream to be an X-Man. Like I want a decathlete who wins Ironman as well. Just your thoughts.
Yeah,
your thoughts on that.
No, I mean, I think you don't have to push him. I think he's well on his way to producing a good athlete in the future.
No, excellent. I need him to be dating. Like, did you see that Portuguese lady? I forget what her name is. Who surfed that wave, the biggest wave in history?
Nazaré.
Oh my God! I think she's what's she Brazilian? If we can maybe set them up, and then we've got the first X-Man to ever live in South Africa. I'm just saying, there's no bad ideas in brainstorming. But I mean, I'll leave that to you guys. You seem to be doing fine.
Yeah, no, we've actually just had our first. We had our first child. Is little Riley, 15 months old now. And,
wow.
He doesn't walk anywhere. Yeah, I'll keep pushing that. He's on the treadmill most mornings.
No, excellent. Early start. We call it early childhood development. I mean, in the Trautman household, you want to get that going early. So 15 months. What's that been like in lockdown? Whew.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, been probably easier than what we would have had it if we were traveling. At least he's got all his stuff here and big backyard and just in a routine. Whereas, I mean, last year we traveled for his first. I mean, I think he left home when he was 2 months old and did 4 or 5 months of traveling with him.
Wow.
And it was actually probably a good age then. Now that he's mobile, it's that would have been hectic. So it hasn't been all bad.
Wow, that's amazing. We'll come back to that support structure because I think for guys at your level, that is something that's underestimated. Just having somebody who's so supportive. I want to start maybe at the beginning. You know, at some stage, and you know, I guess it's easier if you go to schools that high like this, but at some stage in life, I'm pretty sure even for you, it's like no matter what you were participating in, and we're boys, I can only speak from a man's perspective, but even when you pick the guy to be on your cricket team, your rugby team, your football team, even at a young age, maybe 8, 9, 10, when we start to grow a little bit, you can kind of see who's better than everyone else. I know coaching and, you know, you can kind of get better, but we know, everyone knows. Was there an age, were you one of the early bloomers? Was there an age where you were like, oh, I can run a bit longer than everyone else. I can swim in the deep end longer than so. I can swim in the river. I'm always the one fetching the cricket ball. Like everyone knows what's going on. Was it like that with you? Did you know from early on, like, in your mind, you know, like, I'm better than everyone else? Because I know guys like that.
Yeah, like I think at a junior school level, I was definitely the big fish in a small pond, and was, you know, first team for whatever, and swimming and running, and but yeah, that changed pretty quick in high school. Like, I think my first year of cricket there, put in the C team and did one test, and I thought, nah, this let me change, let me start paddling. No, like I think definitely haven't always been the most talented at ball sports, but I think where I've always found myself excelling is just in sports where you can push yourself harder or further, and just be more determined with the outcome. So these endurance sports was always my thing, really. I mean, I've always loved running, and always actually preferred it to any team sport. So yeah, that's what I always loved.
Yeah.
I mean, the paddling and the running. So and I don't know if it's, yeah, I mean, obviously genetics plays a part, but I mean, now for Ironman, like it only takes you so far. I mean, so much of it is about your training and the work that you do. You can't, it's not like football, or you can't just rely on, pure skill. It's
Yeah.
what you get out what you put in, type of thing.
Hey, well said. Well, that's well said. And I guess for you, I mean, just having a look at the timeline is sort of 2012 because you and your brother did Doozy then, huh? Did you guys kind of train for that, or was it just like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let's go do Doozy. It's something to do. It's something to go see the boys back home about, or was it something you guys trained intensely for?
Yeah, it was a bit of a spur of the moment. So I was sailing at the time. We had actually, Calvin had also got into sailing, but I'd been, yeah, I think at that stage, for 2012, yeah, it was almost 10 years of sailing and not doing too much else. Definitely not much paddling. But yeah, I was looking for a new challenge, and he was up for it, and we trained for a few months and gave it a bash.
No, that's tough. And then what? You went and came third, huh?
Yeah, that was in the non-stop doozy. So that's when you do, yeah, the doozy but yeah, Calvin, yeah, maybe he dragged me. He was probably fitter than I was at that stage.
He's an animal. Like that's got to sicken people, right? It's like, yeah, we just kind of decided he came top three. No worry, no big deal. Like what?
Yeah.
By the way, for
No,
those
like
who
I
don't
think
know, yeah, go ahead.
no, so I think there's a lot to be said for that, like muscle memory you build up as a kid if you've done a sport in your youth and trained hard at it. Then like it never really leaves you. You see it with like the swimmers now. It's so annoying. Like I mean, guys who haven't swum for months or years with the lockdown and come to swim squad, and within a couple of weeks they smashing you.
Yeah, like fish.
It's just
Yeah, no,
anyway.
these are the gripes of being at the top of the game, huh? But tell me something. What did your parents say? Because after school, you went straight to sailing for, like, as you say, like 10 years, and you did one of the most ridiculous things on the planet, which is the mini transat. Did you do that straight after school, or what did your parents say? Like, excuse me, you're doing what?
Yeah, I think I kind of led them into believing it was just going to be a gap year, 1 year, little trip, and then I'd come back to university. And I think I probably believed that myself at the time as well. But yeah, that's not the way it turned out. It was a few more years on the
Yeah.
ocean. But yeah, that many transats, when was that? I think 2009. So no, it had been quite a build up to that race. It was, yeah, learning. I mean, single-handed sailing across the Atlantic. I know, like, yeah, it's a crazy class, very small, very powerful boats, and you obviously have to be very totally self-sufficient. Yeah, it's just an awesome experience, but took some time at that level.
Hey, no big deal. I like how you just try to breeze past that across the Atlantic. Like, talk us through that race,
Yeah,
because not everybody is like you guys, just on the next level. In Maritzburg, you guys disappear into your own world, and you don't realize that some people just go to day spas and get pedicures. Did you just say across the Atlantic, right? The mini transat,
yeah.
for those who don't know, that race is insane. Maybe talk us through what is it and how many guys on a team? What is going on there?
Yeah, so it's like a predominantly French race. You start in La Rochelle and in the Bay of Biscay there on the west coast of France. And yeah, most of the competitors are French. The French are mad about their single-handed sailing. And yeah, you basically sail across the Atlantic. It is what it is, from La Rochelle to Salvador in Brazil. So yeah, you go across the equator, through the doldrums, obviously, and it takes, yeah, I mean, the first leg is La Rochelle to Madeira, it takes about a week, and then you go Madeira to Salvador, which is, I think it was 3 weeks, 20 days or so. And yeah, it's a single-handed. So you've got an autopilot that can steer the boat, but I mean, it's like I say, the boats are really small, and you don't have an engine, so you just have solar panels to charge your batteries. So you can't you hand steering the boat for a lot of the time, and it's actually quicker to do it. So yeah, I mean, depending on the conditions, I mean, some days you'll just steer the boat for in the 24-hour period, you might be up there for 23
Holy
hours
smokes.
and just catch a bit of sleep when you can. You normally only sleep in for about 20 minutes at a time. Set a really loud alarm. I mean, the boats are so small you can't actually lie down anywhere, so you sleep sitting up, and it's probably a good thing. It's not so comfortable, and you can't oversleep.
Wow. How hairy does it get out there? Because this is insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, the conditions are variable, but leaving La Rochelle was quite. We had some pretty breezy conditions. Yeah, the first few days quite hectic, and then you sort of get into the trade winds, and then it's quite tactical, like going across the doldrums, like very shifty conditions, and you have like these squalls coming through, so it gets really windy at times, but then there's like no wind at all, and you got to like play the clouds, and once you're through the doldrums, then you're in the trade winds, and then it's a bit simpler. But yeah, I mean, it's just a balance of keeping the boat going fast, obviously not breaking anything. You definitely don't want to do that. Like your sails, you got to look after, and look after yourself as well as the boat. So it's really just like this like management game. But yeah, big challenge. I loved it.
Holy. Hey, great, great surf. Or what's it? It's like a sailor guy language. The drift. I like that. It's nautical talk. I like that a little bit
Yeah, no,
drift talk.
I could throw in some terminology,
Nautical
but
talk. Huh?
I tried to keep
I
it
like it. No.
simple for you land lovers.
I like it. It makes us a big time boat show. Love that. It's a bit of class. Add a bit of
Yeah.
class to this show. It's just me and Gareth Cliff, by the way. Social distancing. I don't know if you can see. Probably looks
Oh
tiny.
yeah,
That's actually
yeah.
Gareth Cliff over there. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. All about the rules. Man, that is such a crazy thing. I guess, when you've had something like that, I imagine you have to go to places in terms of grit and what we call vastbyt here in South Africa that very few people ever will experience or will have to in their lives. Talk to me about, of course, then we go, that was 29. 2012,
2009,
yeah. Then obviously you and Calvin go and embarrass everybody after training like for 15 minutes for the non-stop, whatever. That's fine. You come third or whatever. But then it seems from some of the research I was doing, it seems that lit the fire in you. And of course, sort of the man we kind of see today, it seems evolved from that. Had you always been looking to get into the multi-sport scene and push yourself, or did that moment kind of open this triathlon world up? How did triathlon come about from that, from what I read?
Yeah, I think as you're saying, it definitely lit the fire to keep doing more like endurance sport. I mean, sailing, I guess you could call an endurance sport, but something more physical, I guess. And after the DZ, I went back to the UK. I was working on a boat there. No, it was 2012. Spent most of the year racing and sailing around the UK, and that was the Olympic year in the London Olympics, and triathlon was quite. It was quite a big. A lot of talk about it at the time because the Brownlee brothers, who were both British, they were the favourites for that Olympics, and they ended up getting gold and bronze, and I think that sort of definitely piqued my interest, and looking for a new challenge besides the sailing, and triathlon seemed like a good thing to try. So I did my first triathlon race in the UK, and I think it was in September or October 2012.
Wow. Just starboard that's a sailing word. I just wanted to make you feel comfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so starboard always has right of way. So if you're
Goes
coming
without
up to
saying.
another boat, a sailing boat that is, then you can shout starboard to them if they're on port, and they generally have to get out the way. Won't
Yeah,
work if it's a big tanker, you're
yeah.
probably just going to sail into it and die. But
But that's a different thing. But
no,
we
not
knew,
starboard. Yeah.
we know, but it's good that you kind of said that for everyone who didn't know that. So
No, exactly. I was
yeah,
just checking you remembered. Yeah.
yeah, no. I mean, listen, but yeah. So I don't want to be talking about port and starboard here. That's not what it's about. We talk, well, I like showing off. It's not about me. So it's not about me. We got a world class athlete here, Matt. And then you know what? When something like this happens, and it's always interesting for me when you take it from, okay, it's fun and I've got the capability, is when did you make the switch from I want to participate, and obviously that animal in you that's no matter where it's come from, whether it's from you and Calvin bullying each other into, grinding each other into champions, and where did it come from I'm going to participate to, okay, now this thing's for real and they're going to know my name? Did you make a mental switch at any time? Do you remember a year? Was there a moment? Was there a conversation with somebody to say, hey, you're brilliant, knuckle down?
Yeah, so in 2013, I came back home to SA and did Ironman South Africa. That was in April, and yeah, as an age grouper, and yeah, that went really well. Won my age group, and I think I was 20th overall. Anyway, that qualified me for the world champs in Kona, which is like the holy grail of Ironman racing. And yeah, after that result, then I thought, okay, let's give it a year of good training, get to Kona, see what's possible. I mean, any race, like all the races before that, I was obviously, giving it my best shot.
Sure.
It wasn't just, yeah. I mean, it was never really. I mean, yeah, it's for fun, but I mean, you always have that competitive drive to do as well as you can. And yeah, so I had a good training block up until Kona, and yeah, I got another good result there, second in my age group, and I think 30th overall amongst the pros. And yeah, I think that was sort of like the moment it was decision time whether I'd go back into sailing and keep doing that, or try a change of career path. And yeah, I chatted to some guys. Race director of Ironman South Africa was there, Paul Wolf, and asked him, I think at the airport there before we were flying out, what he thought, if it was feasible for me to give it a go as a pro. And yeah, he said go for it, and that's what I did. So yeah, 2014 was my first year as a pro, and yeah, I mean, everything took off from there.
And so what changes in your life from there? Because then, like you're saying, is, okay, I've been kind of giving it a go, training. What happens? Do you set up your team? Or for you, what was your approach? Is I need nutritionists, blah, blah, blah? Or how did you decide? Because, I mean, if there's anybody who's meticulous, it is you triathletes, right? I've never met a bunch, ultra runners. For me, I'm just like, hey, I'll grab a bar and a muffin. But you guys are for real. So what happened then when you decided, hey, I'm going to do this thing for real? Did you set up a team? What was your first thought in terms of taking it to that next level?
Yeah, the first thought was to find the best coach that I could. I mean, I obviously started late in life. I was like way behind, the rest of the pro athletes in terms of development. And yeah, I was just looking for, the best instruction out there. And so what I ended up doing was heading over to Switzerland halfway through that year, and I joined this group training squad, and that's run by Brett Sutton. He's the head coach, and he had trained, he has trained numerous Ironman world champions, Olympic gold medalists, and yeah, probably one of the best triathlon coaches in the world. And did a trial period for a few weeks with him, and yeah, luckily he decided to take me on as one of his athletes, and yeah, I've been with him ever since. And I mean, that was it definitely, as a career as trying to make it as a professional triathlete, one of the best decisions I made.
And when you make that decision, because it's quite interesting, you know, obviously the natural talent's one thing, and you spoke about it earlier, is it's got to be harnessed, and you naturally need to humble yourself to something as brutal as ultra sport. Is what is it like now as an athlete at the beginning when obviously you are being mentored by somebody? Did you sort of have to humble yourself to this? I mean, it sounds like he's just the guy, you know, when you're going there. Is what was that process like? Because I'm always interested internally. Is we always think, hey, I want to be great, and then you get and you see what it takes to be great. What was that like for you? Was it just natural for you because you'd come from that highly competitive environment with the coach, or did those demands, did you struggle for maybe the first year or two to acclimatize to the expectations of greatness?
Yeah, I mean, the training was obviously like quite different to what I was doing back home. I mean, yeah, look, I mean, the squad they're all great athletes, and I mean, yeah, if you want to be the best, then training with the best is is definitely a good way to go about it. I mean, it was more like I can't really remember what I was thinking, to be honest. It was just trying to prove myself to the coach for him to take me on, and trying to prove myself to the other athletes there as well. And yeah, I mean, it's yeah, Here's to say what I was thinking. I mean, I wanted to get to the top, and I wanted to get there quickly, and I think it was more just proving it to myself and proving it to those that I was around.
And so I guess, look, I don't want to put you in this position, but because you've walked the road, and quite frankly, Matt's won a lot. The answer, I mean, I've got the notes here, but Matt's won a lot. But I'm always interested, you know, a lot of young people, Matt, I'd love to know what your advice is, because there's a lot of people that maybe see you, Buckingham, of course. I think he's the other guy who's doing it down for the people from Port Elizabeth. He's an animal himself. They see you guys as the finished product. It's the end now. Like, let's tell some real truths. What does your day look like? And I mean, it's been how many years of sacrifice? Maybe let's start with what does it actually take? When we say I want to be a champion, talk to me. Let's just talk about a one prime block for animals like yourselves. What does it look like? Give me a 6-week routine. Give me Monday to Friday. Because some people don't know what it actually takes. They like to be on Instagram, but what does it actually take?
Yeah, like first of all, there's obviously I was saying before, like you have to be determined, but I mean um, you can't put aside the genetics. I mean, you have to be somewhat sporty, and then build on that. And but yeah, for like I was saying, for Ironman, you really can like train your way to the top. You don't have to be, Michael Phelps in the water. You can, it's like so varied, like with the different disciplines that, you can find a way to make it work for the long course stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a typical block. I mean, it's really about, yeah, like you're saying, it's about those weeks and the months of consistency that really make the difference. I mean, each session is just like it's a very small brick in this wall of this house that you're trying to build, and that takes weeks and months and then years to you know to get the finished product. But specifics, I mean, yeah, swimming, biking, and running most days, doing all three disciplines. So I'll train 3 times a day. Yeah, it depends on the block. Like for an Ironman, there's for the full Ironman, a lot of biking involved. For the half, I'll do a little more running. But yeah, generally swimming at least 5 to 6 times a week, and that'll add up to maybe 25Ks, 30Ks on a big week, maybe a little less on a lighter week, and then the biking again. It's most days. Some days you go long. some days are shorter and intense, but you're probably looking at anywhere between 12 to 18 hours of biking in a week. And then the running, again, most days, like in terms of mileage, you're probably looking at around anywhere between 85 to over 100 Ks a week. So it adds up to, call it between 26 and 32 hours, depending on the block that you're in each week. And then, you might do like 3 weeks on like that, and then take a couple of easier days and then start building back up to it. I mean, you can't train like a madman all year round. I mean, you got to obviously have a goal in sight and try and peak for a specific race. But those last, say, 8 to 12 weeks where you really need to knuckle down. And I mean, as a pro athlete, I don't think anyone training much less than probably 25 hours a week, it's just not enough for the full Ironman. You got to put in the time, and you got to put in that mileage in your legs.
I mean, 2 questions immediately. How do you keep a wife, and when do you recover? Wow.
I mean, the recovery, you got to, sleep whenever you can, which obviously with a toddler isn't always the easiest thing. But I mean, you got to find a way to keep the wife happy wife, happy life.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm single, so I don't have to worry about that.
Like, I mean, it's, when it's your job, I mean, it's like, it is 30 hours a week, but it's not like you have a desk job for 8 hours the rest of the day. Like, there's some time in your day to
your soul's not being crushed in a cubicle.
No. You're not you're not always the most pleasant and active, I guess, around the house. Chores take a long time to get done, but
sure,
that's what the 2-week off seasons is for.
Okay. You got to. Hey, there's no free lunch. Listen, I think that's also really important, Matt. Is when we talk to young people and athletes and just people, it's great for people like yourself who've walked the road. Is these things are real? I imagine you've got to be very deliberate about, number one, who's got my best interests at heart, and once they're in the circle, I guess your relationship, the closest one is your wife. Is you constantly need to let her know, hey, here's what's up, here's what we're doing. Because I imagine, as I know, and I'm a hack runner, is once I get into my training zone, the world disappears to me. I guess you've got to be deliberate and find somebody who knows how to deal with you, your ups, your downs, will pick you up. I think that's maybe something, and maybe I'm wrong, I think a lot of young studs, athletes, a lot of them fall away because they forget to set that part of their lives up, the support structure, whether in your case it was the coach, but your wife, I imagine, has been an absolute rock through all of the success. It's just not possible in your own. I can't imagine.
And 100%. You definitely need that balance in your life. And I mean, having a kid and and the wife, it's actually great to just sort of leave the training at the door once you're done with your session, and just forget about Julian and just focus on that. And I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. But you need that support structure. And like you're saying about the mood, I mean, she's great. If I'm getting too grumpy, I mean, it generally means that I'm probably pushing the envelope a little bit and might be overdoing it with the training. And she'll make sure that she tells me, and you might just back it off a little bit for the next session, try and recover a bit, and try and be a bit more cheerful around the house. She's a good measuring stick for what my training status is.
That's I like that. There's no scientist that's going to tell you better than somebody who's seen you. She sees you at the best and worst. Hey, Matt, I just think it's really important at this stage to bring this up, that I'm a 2:42 marathon. I saw your time's 2:44. I mean, forget the fact that you swam, like 4 kilometers and cycled, I don't know, what's the cycle in Ironman, but
180,
Yeah, 180 Ks or whatever. Put that aside. I just wanted to say that I ran a marathon 2 kilo, or I can run a marathon 2 minutes faster than you. That's official. Just wanted to put that out.
No, respect. That's a decent marathon. I think it was
I agree.
2:43. It's only a minute, huh? But,
Oh, okay.
no,
Listen,
I'm
I couldn't
it's
see you.
for
A minute behind. To me, it's honestly, you could have been an hour behind.
exactly. Okay, that's cool. Good benchmark. I'm coming.
There
for
we
you.
go. There are. Hey, that is insane, dude. I can't believe you ran a 2:43 after cycling 180 Ks. That is so wild. That's absolutely insane. And, we could have talked about so much else, but I think it's so cool for people to get to see that you guys are people, is that this is real, is the training is real. This is just people with discipline. And, for me as a youngster, I always saw discipline as kind of a prison. And the older I get, it's funny, is I see more discipline as freedom. What is your relationship with that word? Because I know when I always ask about that word because it's a really, really important trait for me is discipline for you? Obviously, it must be central. Otherwise, nothing will get done. But what is your relationship with discipline? And when you talk to I imagine youngsters come up to you and DM you all the time. Discipline, I mean, how important is that? And how are you with the discipline? Because it can be off-putting,
Yeah,
by the way. Disciplined people can be off-putting for some people because it's such a desirable trait. When you see somebody execute it, there is that envy, like, why can't I be like that? So I'd like to know your thoughts on being disciplined.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, I mean, that's just 100% important especially for a sport like triathlon with the amount of hours that you have to put in. I think, like, for me personally, it's just always something I've prided myself on, just having perseverance and resilience and just sticking at it to get the job done. So it's never really something I've had to overthink. I've always been comfortable just putting myself into that, into that sort of into that area. But yeah, as you say, you can't, you're never going to make it if you're not disciplined.
No, hey,
Right.
listen, well said. Well said. It's like, listen, once again, more power to your wife, because disciplined people, and I got to keep saying this, especially for young people, because there's a lot of people that look up, is disciplined people aren't easy for everyone, because what they do is they make you face your own character. With somebody disciplined is they're going to do what they say. And that, more power to your wife, dude. Honestly, on a very serious note, is to have that support structure, because I know I know what I think disciplined is, and then I go to Kona, my first event, I'm top 20 disciplined, and that's next level. And it's not for everybody. People must always be clear that don't look at Instagram and people putting up Instagram pictures of lions and beast mode, and then it's time to pitch up, and you're at the pub, and then you miss training, and then you miss the third day of training. Listen, people, go to the tops, not Instagram. And it is so awesome to have you here, Matt. And I'll tell you, as a South African, brother, the reason why I was talking about that as a South African is, it's close to my heart, because I mean, I love this country. Some of us have been fortunate enough to travel, not as much as you have. I mean, a big time athlete. Anyway, but we've seen the world, and we still come home. And then guys like you, I'm pretty sure you've got an option. You could be living in Colorado, you could be living in Geneva, you could be living wherever you want, but you choose to stay here. Could you maybe talk to me about why is it you choose to stay here? I know a lot of the world-class athletes come to Stellenbosch, and that region is a bit of a haven, but there's other havens. I mean, I've been to Colorado, I've been to Chamonix, and there are training havens around the world. In Spain, of course, a lot of people are out there. But what is it that makes Matt Trautman say, hey, get that the hell out of here. I'm going to stay in South Africa?
Well, firstly, the food's much cheaper here, so you eat quite a lot as a triathlete.
Great. Oh, that's so solid. That's so solid.
I mean, have you been to Switzerland, man?
Yeah.
Like, an athlete here is like you live off spaghetti and like chocolates. I mean, chocolate's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But trying to eat a vegetable, and it's a week's worth of food here in SA. So, no, I mean, obviously, yeah, the family support here, and no, I mean, it's home. It's I love being here, and no, it's great to travel, and yeah, my wife and I, we both, love it when we, the travel that's involved with the job. But yeah, there's nothing quite like coming home and having your friends and family here, and it's just where we're comfortable. And like I say, training's not bad either, so no reason to be anywhere else.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Listen, I'm probably overly patriotic because I love it. So when champions like you, so I want to thank you on behalf of people that'll never get the chance to thank you, dude. Being around, it's all good and well if it's like Elon Musk kind of thing. He's South African, but he's over there. Let me tell you something, bro. You being here, because we can see you. When young guys see you at the shop, and I know for you, you're an apex animal and you're doing your thing. It's not your job to kind of, be out there and everyone. You're focused on training and being great, but it's very, very different, bro. The fact that I can see Matt Trautman at the shops. I'm pretty sure there's little girls and boys who are in the game, life-saving guys. They're like, you won't believe who I saw today. That's very, very different to I see you on TV and you're holding the South African flag. That's cool. But when I see you at the shops, dude, I know the kind of effect that seeing some of my idols that still live in South Africa. I'm like, that is awesome. The fact that, wow, this person's real. They're here. They're like me. They sound like me. And so that's awesome. I really, from one South African to another, I really, really want to thank you, bro. It's amazing, and you just keep rocking, dude. Because this country needs some good news, and we got guys like you flying the flag high. That is sick.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thanks,
hey, so 2:43, huh? Yeah, 1 minute behind me. Tough stuff. I was just thinking about that.
Where's my next Ironman? April next year. I'll give you a call.
April. All right. We'll keep an eye on it. Listen, mine was at altitude at I got to know. I can't have you going. I'm just saying.
You're going to give yourself another 3 minutes for altitude.
Listen, all I know is
you can go sub 240.
All right, let's. Yeah. All right. Okay, hold on. So let me get my pen out. Matt Trautman, sub 240. I don't have the best memory, you see. All right, I've written it down.
There you go.
Now we know. All right, so when is that?
When are we doing next? PE. April. Yeah, I mean, look, you're welcome to come and do the swim in the bike beforehand as well if you want.
Hey, listen, I got to leave it to you guys. I don't want all the glory. I mean, I'm on TV all the time. I'm a big-time journalist. I don't want to take your shine. So that's your time. Yeah. It's like I feel my hamstring getting tight as soon as you said the cycle and my hamstrings.
COVID. It's
exactly. I don't want to. Hey, Matt. Before we finish off, do you mind taking some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Before we get into that, I just wanted to ask you. Obviously, for those who don't know, go and read Absolutely Tragic Story 2017. But by the way, this guy, I nearly left this out. This guy's had a broken collarbone, and then the accident, of course, in 2017. I don't really want to go over it again. I mean, people can go and read about that, Matt. It's not something I really want to rehash. Obviously, just in the pits. By the way, this also record holder. Hey, you think that your record is ever going to be broken? Is that it's in Durban, huh? For the 70.3.
Yeah, Durban. I don't know if they still do the same course there, but East London is 70.3. East London's where the current 70.3 record. No, I think it's definitely beatable with the right conditions. We'll just have to keep going back there to make sure no one
just keep
across the line before me.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start marathon training now, so you never ever catch my time.
Good idea. Because don't be too comfortable with 243. That's for sure.
No. Listen,
or 242. Sorry.
I just want to say, anybody watching, there's two Hilton boys on screen right now, and one of them is representing properly at the 242. I'm just saying, I don't want to keep knocking you down because you've done so much. It's also important. It's the apex. It's that predator,
Yeah, no, it's a good goal to aim for.
Matt, you're unbelievable, dude. Talk to me. obviously Olympics would have been a goal. Is the Olympics a goal for you? Is that something we're looking at? Maybe Paris 2024, or is your eye on something else? What is the big prize? What keeps getting you out of bed with so much achieved?
Yeah, the Ironman World Champs in Kona. That's the big one for us long course athletes. And yeah, that happens every year, every October. Obviously not didn't happen this year, or it's not going to happen this year. But yeah, 2021 Kona, that's the big goal, to go out there and get a solid result. I've never really had the race in, so it's really what keeps me motivated at this stage.
Oh man, so 2021, huh? That's when we're going at it.
Exactly.
That is, and talk to me about something like Kona. How long do you set up in terms of, hey, I want to peak for Kona? How long do you set up the training regime and everything before that? Like if you're gonna, because now you this is mental. 2017, the guy had an accident, and the guy's back. That is so sick, dude. That is so wild to me. It's unbelievable. You're back already talking about Kona. I want to be on the podium at Kona. How far out do you start training? Is it like, do you start setting up 2 years before, a year before in your ideal world to peak at a Kona and really give it a proper go?
Look, I mean, I think in terms of your overall development, you probably, it's a number of years to get to a level that's going to be good enough to scare the podium. And yeah, I think, like you're saying, since the accident in 2017, it's just been a steady build up since then. I think I've been getting stronger and stronger each year and more competitive again. And I mean, in terms of planning for the year, you have to qualify beforehand. So I'll try to do that at Ironman South Africa in April. And then after that, probably, take it from there. I might probably head over to Europe for a bit of race in May, June, July sort of period. And then you want to head over to a hot climate and start heat acclimatizing. So, I mean, look, you really want to plan your whole year around it in terms of your qualification and whatnot. But yeah, look, you obviously can't be in peak shape all year round, and you got to plan your peaks. And I mean, you obviously want your big one to be in October. So any racing you do outside of that, barring one or two races, will just be sort of training for the big day. And like if you can get in a good, say, 12 to 16 weeks of uninterrupted solid training before Kona, and you come into that block, fit but not overtrained, then that's probably the ideal prep.
Hey, that is, dude, you are awesome, man. Here's how we're going to round it off, because I'm a big sailing guy. Your training program, as we might say in the sailing world, it's your rudder, Matt. Some people might say.
Some might.
Yeah.
I've met that person now. Yeah.
I'm a big boat guy. Well, listen, I also did sailing, by the way. Very differently from you, though. I did something called Yacht Week in Croatia. I did that for 2 years in a row. That was insane. I didn't sail. Nice. I just drank, just to tell you. So we both done sailing a little bit differently, though.
No, I mean, that's 90% of what sailing is, really, is it's what you do off.
See, we got more in common than you know. I mean, I'm a 242, you're a 243, but whatever. I don't want to go on about that. Hey, Matt, you're amazing, dude. Should we take some questions before we let you go, before your wife actually does leave you?
Please, yeah.
All righty. Dave, what you got for the champ? Try Harder says, there's a lot of focus on healthy nutrition and what's actually good for the body. What sort of diet and race day nutrition do you take for these ultra events?
So personally, I believe I'm not on like a low carb keto, anything like that. It's very much fueled by carbohydrates. And race day, it's just about consistently getting in enough fuel, and that's carbohydrates throughout the day. So after the swim, you start feeding immediately on the bike, and I'll aim for around 100 grams of carbs an hour and try and keep that going consistently throughout the bike. And then the run is pretty similar, maybe a little less, and taking on more like liquid, but yeah, you just got to feel constantly, probably anywhere between 70 to 90 grams of carbs an hour. You're always burning more than you can take on board. So Ironman's such a that nutrition is, they say, it's the fourth discipline. So you really got to be on top of that.
Fourth discipline. Okay.
Can add that to your.
I like my repertoire. Okay. Fourth discipline.
From a day-to-day perspective, it's mostly about like fueling around the training, just making sure you're going to get the best out of each session. And if that's a easier session or like a longer, more of like a fat burning session, then you might take on less beforehand and less during. If it's a high intensity session, then I make sure it's again fueled quite well with carbohydrates. And then your recovery afterwards, again, carbs, protein. I'm not on any specific diet. It's more about just trying to stay healthy and consistent and get the best out of my training.
How many calories do you reckon you're burning, like in one of your peak training sessions a day?
In a day, I don't know, probably in a big day. If it's 6-7 hours of training, you're probably looking at 6,000 calories, I guess.
Get out of town. That is insane. That is proper. That is proper. The Rig says, Matt, from Doozy to the Atlantic Crossing and then Ironman, what's your favorite sport and what separates it from the rest? Whatever your favorite sport is, of course.
I think I've always, running's always been probably my favorite, my passion. So let's go with running.
All right.
If it's
What about running makes it your favorite compared to the others?
It's just this simple. All you need is a pair of shoes and you're out the door. And it's the most honest as well. Like if you're not fit, you're not gonna run well. You got to. I guess it's the purest of all the disciplines.
Dave, what we got? Mark Francis says, a question for Matt. How did your injury when hit by the car affect your mental health? Did you feel depressed or angry? And what helped you keep focus and positivity?
Yeah, sure. That whole year, it was such a long journey to get to recover from that injury and the spinal fusion. There are definitely some dark moments. I'd set my goal on trying to get back to the start line at 70.3 East London. That's like I was actually training for that race. It was the week before that race when I got hit by the car. So that was going to be a full year after the accident. And actually, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. It was more just I was going to be happy if I was able to running. I think that was the initial goal, and then as things started improving, and set my sights a bit higher. But eventually that race, that 70.3 East London race, was the driving force. It's really just a process of taking each day as it came initially.
Awesome. Paul Inkpen says 4 wins in a row at race to Stanford in Jan.
Paul said his race, I think it's the week before East London, so before the 70.3 East London, so it'll be a challenge. It's possible. Maybe a warm up. Anything's possible.
I'm happy to be your mental coach there. You got to do it, being, let's do it. Let's break new barriers. Hey, if you can come back from a spinal fusion and continue to be one of the best in the world, I don't want to hear any excuses. Paul, I hear you. Let's get this guy out there. Let's get him in, and then on to Slummies, break the record, and then win Kona next year. Simple plan, huh?
There you go. There you go.
Let's go. Dave, what we got? The rig says there are two kinds of people. Do you leave your sticker on your hat or take it off? Great question. Great question.
On the trucker hat.
Yeah, or hats in general. Yeah. So on your peak.
Yeah. Well, on the helmet, I'm definitely the guy who takes the sticker off straight after the race.
Okay.
Can't stand people who go training with the bike numbers alone and the helmet sticker. that's ridiculous.
For Instagram.
And I take it off my peak as well.
Oh, yes, okay.
Sticker off.
Okay, sticker on.
I'm too old. I'm too old for sticker on.
Great point. I have to agree with you. That's like I'm on matric holiday. Girls look over here, or guys look over here type of vibe. Yeah. So sticker off, huh?
Sticker off.
Oh, I think it's Cardi B who likes to leave the sticker on, so she won't like that. But all right, Matt Trautman, sticker on guy. He's a bit of a suit, huh?
Just terrible to upset Cardi B like that, but
hey, I'm telling you, I saw her with a hat on. She interviewed Joe Biden. That's all I'm saying. So sticker off. There we go, folks. Matt Trautman, he said it, not me. Try harder says, does being alone across the Atlantic for so long help with the mental fortitude of being in those really dark places during Ironman racing and training?
Yeah, I think initially it definitely did. Those first, while that experience was still like fresher in my mind, I think definitely carried over a bit to the Ironman racing. I've pretty much forgotten what it's like to be.
Did we lose him? Oh, all right. We'll get Matt back because he was. Oh, Matt, are you back? We lost you there for a second, by the way.
I was just saying. I think initially it definitely helped in those first few years, while it was still that experience of sailing single-handed was still fresher in my mind, but. Yeah, I've pretty much forgotten what that's like now. So.
So I'm sure, but like you said, in that muscle memory, that when the pain comes, instead of running, you just knuckle down. I'd imagine that sort of pedigree from just over and over, being able to take that pounding and focusing in. I'd imagine that helps.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for learning to like suffer in your specific sports as well. I mean, there's like even in between the different disciplines now with like lockdown when we weren't able to swim for however many months, like I mean you forget, it's definitely something you got to teach your body and your mind, like in each discipline, how to push through those barriers and sort of like keep on the rivets if you're really going hard without backing off. I mean that's something you have to train. So I mean, the sailing, I think, but it's it's that physical pain you got to push through those barriers, and it's different for each sport for sure. You got to train it all individually.
Sure. Yeah, that lockdown must have been tough coming out. Fat Panda says, what's it like coming back from something like your accident? Was your first victory back sweeter than your first pro victory? Interesting question.
Yeah, it was definitely up there with one of my most memorable victories for sure. So that was East London 2018. I mean, like it had been a goal for, throughout that whole recovery period, and to achieve that was pretty special. Definitely something I won't forget.
Spinal fusion, and a year later, you're winning one of the toughest races in the world. It's absolutely incredible. Hey, before I let you go, dude, incredible. What is a sweeter victory for you, though? To compound on that last question before I let you go, was it sweeter to beat your brother in like a cricket match or a sailing sort of sailing, or is it sweeter to hold the record for the Ironman 70.3? Which one would you say?
No, like I think always the sweetest, most memorable victory is always when it's really close with another competitor, whether that's your brother or someone you don't even know. Yeah, just having that head-to-head battle is, yeah, whether you win or lose, those are always the most memorable.
Hey, are you guys in touch? I mean, are you close? You're both at the very top of your disciplines, so I'd imagine it's tough to sort of constantly be together.
You're talking about Calvin?
Yeah,
My brother?
yeah.
I mean, now he normally does a lot of traveling himself. So in a normal year, we wouldn't see too much of each other. But now we went for a paddle together the other day, and went for a surf ski paddle. So yeah, still in touch.
Oh, okay. Well, now we have a family problem because I know that he's not doing some research, looking at your photos. How is he not your official photographer? What has happened in the Trautman household? And do we need to have a counseling session? By the way, happy to do it.
No, like I say, he's normally all over the place, down in Antarctica at this time of the year, or somewhere not at home taking photos of his brother doing triathlon.
Him and Lewis Pugh, just on icebergs.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt, you're unbelievable. I can't say that enough. Thank you for being so gracious with your time. And I can't say it enough. You can't say a good thing enough times. Honestly, bro, I'm backing you. It is an absolute honor to have you on the show. It is an honor to see you again. And I'm absolutely delighted. And I think your story, the more people get to learn about your story, and people can extrapolate whatever narrative they want. But spinal fusion, the next year you're winning. And less than 4 years later, we're talking about going for Kona in a very serious tone. I think those sort of life lessons transcend skin-colored borders, wherever you may be, class borders. Is that there is something to take there. A grit is universal. It is possible everywhere, and you're absolutely insane, bro, and an absolute inspiration. And I want to thank you again on behalf of all South Africans, first of all, but generally the human race, to show us that incredible is possible. And many people won't get to thank you, so I want to thank you on their behalf. You're special, dude.
MK, thank you so much. Thanks for the kind words, and yeah, thanks for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the man who was once again, it sounds like actually originally made in Zimbabwe, right? That's where the original product came from, refined in the Midlands, but absolutely perfected all around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who still can't run a marathon as fast as I can, the one and only Matt Trautman. Let's go, Matt. You're a beautiful thing, brother.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. All right. Wow. I mean, folks, so, hey, get off Twitter, get off Instagram. That's what it really looks like. That's what it really takes. And we're not talking about somebody who's kind of at the top and, this is it. By the way, South African. South African as South African can be. This country needs some good news. The world needs good news right now. When we come out of lockdowns, we need our centurions. We need our heroes. And here they are. Here they are. I mean, absolutely incredible. The man had spinal fusion. A year later, he went and won one of the toughest races in the world and continues to dominate. And as he said, Kona next year. Those are the types of goals you got to have. He knows what it takes. He makes the plan and then he works the plan. Absolute stud. Absolute stud. Proud to share an alumnus with him school-wise, and proud to just know the guy. I mean, absolutely incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, you could have been anywhere tonight. You chose to be with us and the champ, the absolute champ that is Matt Trautman, from myself, Gareth Cliff Central Sport at Large. Ladies and gentlemen, I am MKT. This has been the MKT Show.